Yes guys, welcome back to the channel. So I've got a pretty cool DM here which I wanted to do a video on, and it's not my usual video, but I figured it could help some people. So I got a DM saying, hey Max, love your videos. Look, I just need to get as lean as possible in 29 days. Let's call it 30 days. Let's call it a month. I need to get as lean as possible in 29 days as I have a holiday coming up. I don't really care about health. I just need to get as lean as possible. What would you do if you were in my position? I'm 110 kilos, so he's a big overweight guy, 110 kilos. He trains a lot, but basically he's overweight, yeah? So before we even start this, just want to start by saying, this is not the best way to go about things, okay? Wrecking yourself over 30 days, it isn't really recommended. You really want to have a longer time frame. But if I had to get as lean as possible in 30 days, this is what I would do. So first things first, we're going to calculate this guy's maintenance. He's a male, 40 years old, 110 kilos. So he's very, very overweight. Sorry, my man, but you are. And in terms of maintenance calories, we're looking, he can probably maintain his weight at about 2,500 calories, okay? He says he trains all the time, so this guy, I'm sorry, if you train all the time, why are you 110 kilos? So I already know this guy's got a huge issue with his calories, but let's say he can maintain his weight at 2,500 calories. Now, we have a 30-day window, okay? The goal is to just pull as much fat off as possible. We'll talk about how to reverse out after this, but I just want to kind of get the bulk of this video out. If he's at 2,500 calories to maintain his weight, we know that a 500 deficit is going to be kind of a 3,500 calorie deficit per week. We're looking at 1 pound per week. We want to lose more than that. Somebody like this, I wouldn't be against chucking him down to, 1,700, 1,800 calories. And I think that is going to be okay for 30 days, but you really wouldn't have a big guy go down 1,500, 1,400. It's suicide in this game. His 30-day fat loss phase, in 45 days, he'll be 115 kilos, okay? Not 45 days, but in 60 days, you get what I mean. So the lowest I would have this guy go to is around 1,800 calories. Protein is gonna be 1 gram per pound. So if he's 110 kilos, we're looking at probably around 200 to 210 grams of protein. Why? We wanna protect muscle as much as possible, okay? So 200 to 210 grams of protein is where we're gonna sit. If we're 1,750 calories, we know that 20% of overall calories is gonna come from fat. So if we're 1,750 calories, 20%, that's 350 calories worth of fat. Let's say it's around 40 grams of fat, so the rest come from carbs. I don't know what it is, but you work it out. 210 grams of protein, 40 grams of fat, the rest comes from carbohydrates. These are gonna be our baseline calories, and it's gonna suck, okay? But it's okay, it's only for 30 days. That is where I would start with food. As you can see, I haven't gone for a no carbohydrate diet, which is a lot of people's approaches. Why? Why go for a no carb approach and completely suffer and then rebound when you can just be in the deficit and still eat carbs? It doesn't make sense. Now we're gonna start with his step intake. So I don't know what this guy does for a living. I don't know how busy he is, but let's just say he has 110 kilos. We're burning around 50 calories per 1,000 steps. So if we're looking at 10,000 steps per day, it's another 500 calories a week. Again, it's a lot over 500 calories a day. It's another 3,500 calories over a week, another pound of fat per week just from walking. I would really bump this up to between 12 and 15,000 steps. My man, you've given me 30 days, get moving, okay? So steps are gonna go anywhere from 10 to 15K, which means he's gonna have to get up early, he's gonna have to go to bed late, it doesn't matter, deal with it, okay? Now, in terms of training, our goal over these 30 days is to maintain all of his muscle. And it's gonna be hard because we're starving him, but it can be done. Protein is high, the training stimulus needs to be there. In terms of training, we're looking at anywhere from 3 to 5 days of training per week. If it is a 3-day training plan based on his schedule, which he hasn't told me, we're looking at training each body part 3 times. So we would have a full body 1, a full body 2, and a full body 3, training everything 3 times a week. More frequency, less volume. A great way to keep muscle and great if you're a beginner. If we're training 4 days a week, we're gonna train everything twice a week. We're gonna have an upper, lower, upper, lower. I like this split because the 2 leg days a week are massive, they're huge calorie burners, and we're still training upper body twice. And if we're training 5 days a week, we're gonna go push, pull, legs, upper, lower. Again, same thing, everything hit twice in a week. Obviously the 5-day split is good, but it is overkill. 1750 calories, 15,000 steps, 5 days of training a week. I'd probably sit him at 4 days at that upper lower split. Cardio. Now, cardio and steps are not the same, okay? Cardio needs to be in. So I would have him doing between 30 and 60 minutes of cardio a day. That's the way I would do it. Again, we're trying to get as much fat off as possible. We need to create the biggest deficit possible without starving this man. So it has to come from output. It's the only way. So cardio would be 30 minutes a day, probably for the first 2 weeks, probably 60 minutes a day, or for the second 2 weeks, or 45 minutes a day, depending on how much time he has. Okay, that cardio is always going to be steady state cardio. We do want to keep steady state cardio in. We don't want to do HIIT cardio, too much fatigue, too much tiredness, too much hunger. Steady state cardio is going to keep muscle, it's going to burn calories. We want it to be as low impact as possible, like a spin bike or a cross trainer or an incline walk. This is going to allow him to burn the most amount of calories possible without affecting his training. So right now we have a heavy deficit, hard training plan, a lot of steps and a lot of cardio, a lot of protein to hold muscle, fats to keep hormones in check, and obviously we've driven carbohydrates right down to create that deficit. Whilst we're here, guys, if you're struggling with your own weight, ideally I would need more than 30 days, but this is all we do at Maxar Coaching. You can hit the link below if you want to see us help you. I've helped hundreds of guys and hundreds of girls over the years to lose a whole load of fat and build a whole load of muscle. And it's just started to rain here, but we're going to keep this going. In terms of supplements, okay, what supplements are we looking at? Now, we want creatine in there at 5 grams per day. Okay, it's going to allow you to retain more muscle. It's going to help with water retention inside muscle, which is what we're looking for. Creatine allows you to lift more load. You're going to hold more muscle. Great supplement. We're going to utilize caffeine because, my friend, you're going to need it. You're going to be tired, okay? Caffeine pre-workout, pre-steps, whatever. As much caffeine as you need. Just try and cut it out around 3 or 4 o'clock so it doesn't impact sleep. We're probably going to have a whey protein in there as well, but you don't really need a whole lot more in there. Maybe a high dose of curcumin to deal with inflammation, but you're going to be sore. You've given me 30 days to get you in shape. And that is how I would run it. I would dig deep and push for 30 days straight. At the end of your 30 days, I know you said you have a holiday coming up. It's a recipe for disaster. I have to put it out there. You are going to rebound, you're going to gain a load of body fat, and you're probably going to end up heavier than when you started. So it's crucial you go through a reverse diet. And the way I would do it when you've gone so aggressive is, if you're at 1750 calories, like we said, is I would bump you up to maybe 2,500 straight away. We know that you maintain your weight at 2,500. So I would maybe drop training down from 4 times a week to 3 times a week. Steps from 15K to 10K. Cardio from 7 times 30 minutes to, 15 minutes a day. And your calories would go from 1750 up to 2,500. If you sat here for a few weeks, you would be okay, and you would probably look even better, and you'd maintain your weight. But if you just go on holiday, stop training, start drinking, you are in big trouble, and you'll have a heavy rebound. You'll end up heavier than before. I have to get that point across. Now, if you found this video useful, guys, and you want your own video answered, just drop me a comment below, subscribe, and all of that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next